Alrighty, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. We are waiting for everybody to log on, and then we're going to get started in just a minute. Hi, Kat. How are you? I think you're on. I can't hear you. You got to take the
Oh, there
speaker
you
off.
go.
There we go. There we go. How are you? How's it going?
Hap- Happy lunes.
Alrighty, awesome. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody that's joining us tonight. I know it takes time out of your busy schedules, with family, with work, with everything that's going on. We have Halloween coming up. So there's always something happening that can occupy your time. So I really appreciate you guys being here with us today for this valuable, only 20 to 25-minute Zoom, which is going to be awesome. And it's going to be all about title, and it's going to educate you in a way that I don't think you have been before. So it's going to make that buying process easier for you. And I think it'll eliminate a lot of those doubts that you might have in your mind. So let's give it just another minute and then we'll get started. Wait till everybody logs on. Hi, Judy. How are you? Hello, I'm Melinda. We got some viewers on here joining us locally. We also might have some foreigners joining on as well. So they're going to get some information also that they can educate themselves on, which is going to be great. Ready, just a few more seconds and then we will get rolling. All right, I think we're going to get started. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Hi, everyone. So my name is Daniel. I want to thank you guys again for joining me for our monthly webinars. We're going to have two every month, and this is going to be a series. The one we did last time was on mortgages, and the one we're doing this time is all about title. So this is something I think is really important, something that you guys should be educated on. And it's nothing too complicated, but it is a process that I think needs to be talked about. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about me and who I am. My name is Daniel Horowitz. I am a Miami local real estate agent. I have lived here for over 40 years. I've traveled everywhere, but I've always lived here. So I've been in the real estate industry for 8+ years. And what do I focus on? So I work with single family homes. I work with multifamilies. I also work with condos, a lot of condos, especially in the neighborhood that I live in. I live in Midtown, just a big condo market. Who do I work with? So I work with buyers. I work with first-time home buyers. I work with second-time home buyers. I work with renters as well, who eventually become buyers. I also work with investors, and that's domestic and foreign. So if you live here in the States, I can definitely work with you. But if you also live foreign, that's not a problem for us at all. Now, I want to introduce to you guys Katerina, who's an awesome guest that we have today, and she's going to give you a little bit of information about her.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Katerina Gonzalez, and I am with Unlimited Title Group. I am a licensed title agent here for the state of Florida, and we are a family-owned business. We have been in business serving the entire state of Florida for the last 25 years. I have the blessing to work with my mom and my dad, and we work with buyers, sellers, investors, and foreign nationals. We also have attorneys that we work with in our office, so we are able to be that one-stop shop for all of the clients' needs during the closing process. We work with residential and commercial property. So what that means is that we can close any type of property anywhere in the entire state of Florida.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that intro, Katerina. All righty, so I want to get straight to it. What is title insurance? I think this is something a lot of people are not really sure of, or they don't know if they really need it. So talk to us a little bit about what title insurance actually is.
So I am a visual learner, right? And the way I like to explain title insurance for those of you that are from South Florida and those of you that are not, but live in a state with a lot of traffic, it would be like crossing US 1 or a major busy highway blindfolded. Yeah, you could do it. Why would you want to do that? So, title insurance is peace of mind. It's protecting the buyer that they are purchasing a property free and clear of any sort of defects or lien, or that any heir was left out of a probate and now they have an interest in that property. And unlike other insurance premiums that you pay an annual fee and every year it could fluctuate, With title insurance, you're only paying one premium, and that premium is paid at closing, and you will have that policy covering you while you are the owner of the property. So as long as you own the property, you're covered.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so that's something really important that I think a lot of people don't think about, which goes into my next question, right? Is title insurance mandatory? I have some people that are like, I don't need title, it's not important, it's not necessary. Why do I need it? What does it really do? So tell us, forgive me, is title insurance actually mandatory?
So in Florida, title is not mandatory, but it is highly, highly, highly recommended. Now, let me be a little bit more specific. It's not mandatory when it is a cash transaction. When you are financing, your lender will require you to take out a policy. Why? Because they want to protect the asset. They want to make sure that the funds that they are lending you are going into a property that is not going to, come back and bite them in the butt later. So while it's not mandatory, it's very much recommended, especially here in the state of Florida. There's so much fraud, there's so much deception happening, especially nowadays with AI, with people taking advantage of others online, especially the elderly. It wouldn't be a smart move to not protect your greatest investment, which is the purchase of your home or an investment property.
I 100% agree with you. Now, one question I want to ask you, because I've gotten this before. If somebody puts a higher down payment, let's say they put 50% down instead of 20% down, do they still need title insurance?
If they're financing any portion, whether it's a 5% that they're only financing, they must have title insurance. Their lender will require it. They're going to require it because, again, they need to make sure that their assets are protected, that they're protecting that property from any sort of issue, lien, defect. There's so many things that can attach to the property. Even an unpaid water bill could create a huge issue for a client.
Oh,
So the lender wants to make sure that their money is protected.
got it. Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's talk about who pays for title. This is a question I get all the time when I help buyers, when I help sellers. They're like, who is really responsible for this premium, for this fee? And I know that there's a variety of different things that people can do. So talk to us about the different ways and who pays for title.
So the state of Florida, let's divide it in two, right? Because we have different type of contracts out there. First, South Florida, the most common, which is we're going to throw in our South Florida window will be Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach. It's customary for the buyer to pay for the policy. The contract reads that the buyer will pay for their policy and the seller will pay for their closing costs associated with clearing title, which would be their title search and their lien search. However, in Northern Florida, for example, a county like Duval, the custom there is that the seller will pay for it. So if the seller pays for the owner's title policy portion, so that's important to know because remember, we have two policies, the lender that protects the bank and the owner that protects the buyer. If the seller designates the title company, then the seller will pay for that owner's policy portion. Now, there are other options where the buyer may select the title company. If the buyer selects the settlement agent, then the buyer will pay for not only their policy, but then the title and lien search, which is usually a fee paid by the seller. Now, a reason a seller would pay for the policy, you usually see these in distressed properties or even as a marketing strategy. Maybe it's a property that's been sitting in the market and they want to make the property more attractive. They put that they will be covering the owner's policy. Now you're putting a little bit of a bargaining chip in that transaction for the seller.
Gotcha. Okay. And what are you seeing the most? So mostly you see the Miami-Dade Broward provision, right?
I usually in all contracts that we see, I want to tell you that more than 85% of them, it's that Miami-Dade Broward provision. The buyer pays their side and the seller pays for theirs.
Awesome. All right, cool. So let's talk about the process of title because there is a process that we have to go through, especially during a transaction. A lot of clients are not aware of this, and it's really important to understand how it works. So talk to us about the title process.
So every agency works differently, and I work in the same manner that my agents work. And we've talked about this before, you and I, where if you're willing to invest your time and show your client multiple properties without the guarantee that they'll ever close, how can I not give you that same service? So what I do is that as soon as you send me that contract, I order everything up front. And what does everything mean? That means I'm ordering your title search, I'm ordering your lien search, I'm ordering your estoppel, and I'm ordering your survey. Why? Because deadlines matter with our contracts, right? We want to make sure that we're in compliance and that both parties are doing their due diligence. So we order everything up front because in a perfect scenario, that comes back clean and we can close in a week or two. Unfortunately, in South Florida, that is not the case.
Yeah.
Some properties will have liens, they'll have defects, they'll have violations, and those take time to cure. So we want to make sure that we're ordering everything up front to avoid any delays at closing. Now, there's also different types of property. So not every property requires all of this. So if it's a single family home and they do not belong to an association, then I don't need to order an estoppel. So it's one less step. If it's a commercial building, I'll still need to order the estoppel and the lien search. If it's a condo, I'll need to order the estoppel, but I won't need a survey because I don't need a measurement of the land because they don't own a portion of the land. And the best part is that thanks to technology, right? How we're able to be here today with everyone is the same way we can facilitate closings. So my client no longer needs to be here in order for me to facilitate the closing. They can be anywhere in the world, a foreign national, a US citizen, they can be here, they can be in a different country, in a different time zone. And we have the means to facilitate the closing for them with the same experience that they would have in my office today.
That's amazing. I love that because I have a lot of people that are like, do I have to fly in for the closing? I'm in another state. I'm traveling. I'm actually in Europe right now. So I think that kind of gets them a little bit anxious about the closing, but it's good to know that we can do it from anywhere in the world. Now, one quick question I have for you. When it comes to online mobile notaries, is there a cost to the client for this?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of transaction and how many signers we have. But the customary fees that you'll usually see is somewhere in the ballpark of like $195 to $250, $295. Sometimes it'll go a little bit over that. And that's if we need additional witnesses, if we're talking about 5 to 6 signers in 5 to 6 different cities, which does happen, which means we need multiple people closing them. So that will incur an additional fee. But really, for the convenience that it is, it's really such a minimal fee that it'll cost the client. So it's a great option that we have today.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. It makes everything so much easier for everybody.
Yes.
All right, so this is something that I actually just learned about that I want to educate our viewers on, that this is a huge benefit of title. So there's an underwriting coverage. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
So when you purchase your title policy, you're purchasing your policy through one of our many different underwriters. Our office has several underwriters that we provide policies for, and they all have amazing coverage for our clients. In the worst case scenario, right? Listen, we're all human beings. Mistakes happen, right? Something can fall through the crack. In the worst case that you need to file a claim, a lot of consumers don't know that your underwriter will actually represent you through their attorneys and endure and cover those legal costs associated with filing that claim. The end game here is to always protect their client. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to fix the error and make sure that they're curing your title so that it's free and clear. So not only do they do that, they have their expert legal teams that will be with you around the clock. You can email them, call them. They are an extension of my team. And a lot of people didn't know that with your policy, that is also part of it. You are covered through these underwriters and their legal team. It's really a no-brainer when it comes to purchasing a property.
I 100% agree. And actually, I didn't even know about that before. So let's say that 6 years down the road, something comes up. Are they still covered? Is there a time frame for this?
So you are covered for as long as you own the property. For the life of you owning that property, you will be covered by your owner's policy that, remember, you only paid one premium at closing.
That's awesome. Awesome. Great to know. Great to know. So let's talk about closing, because this is the biggest part of a transaction that so many people like, they think they know, but they don't really know. So
Mhm.
talk to us a little bit about the closing process.
So every state is different. So let's talk about the state of Florida because that's where we're at right now. When you're purchasing a property in Florida, unlike other states, you are able to close with either an attorney or a title insurance agent, which is us. We are a title company. A lot of states don't allow that. Florida does allow both. So that is a great tool for the buyers to have. Closing costs are very different. In some states, the sellers are required to pay bulk of the cost, or the buyer. In Florida, as we discussed, we already have the option to do either or. Deadlines. This is the most important thing when you're under contract. Making sure you are following your deadlines, that you're doing your due diligence, and that you're meeting the timeframes that you have put in black and white on this legal contract that you will do. Your inspection, your appraisals, applying for the association in a timely manner. We know that most associations take around 30 days to approve a buyer. So should we wait till 2 weeks after to apply? No, sometimes we have to invest some of our own money, which we've talked about before, right? You've got to spend money to make money. You've got to spend money to invest money. So you're going to have to do these things up front and in a timely manner to avoid losing the deposit, because a lot of people think that, oh, no, sellers don't really pursue deposits. That's, that's like a myth. No, it's not a myth. It's something that happens. It happens more times than not. And we just want to make sure we're meeting the deadlines. When it comes to the closing date, everyone has a preference. I'm very transparent and honest with my clients. The same way I want people to be with me, I am with them. I do not love holiday closings. What does that mean? I do not like Friday closings on holiday, because there's only so much we have control of. When you are financing, you have to sign your entire loan package, which most times you're talking about 2 to 250 pages that you have to manually sign one by one. Before that, you need to go to your bank. You need to initiate a wire, because remember, we no longer can take checks or cashier's check. I definitely cannot take a luggage full of cash. So you need to go to your bank and you need to initiate a wire. And if we've been to a bank lately, it is not a smooth process. You're talking about an hour or two. So let's start taking in all this time, and we haven't even sent docs back to the lender to get approved. So if you want to close on a Friday at 4, I have to disclose to you that there is a probability you will not get access to the property over the weekend, because I can only control my signing part. Once the Fed closes and I send out that wire, if it doesn't hit the seller, there's nothing we can do. So I always encourage my clients, sign in the morning. Always try to do it as early as possible, and really remind them of what a special day it is. It really should be a day that they take off of work. There's a lot of steps they have to do. They don't want to be rushed. Remember, when you rush, you make mistakes. Mistakes can cost us. So we want to make sure that they have their time. And the requirements for closing is making sure that they're checking in a timely manner, again, their IDs. We want to make sure they don't have any expired IDs, because they do have to provide identification that they are who they say they are, and we verify that information. So if their driver's license is expired, they need to bring me a passport or another government issued ID in order for me to close the deal. And that goes for both. Also, just real quick, touching on their legal marital status, depending on the type of transaction they're purchasing, especially my first-time home buyers that are buying a homestead property, they are legally married, which in the state of Florida, you only have 2 options. You're married or you're single. There's no in between. There's no separated. You're married or you're single. I need to know that from my sellers, and I need to know that from my buyers, and I need to know that upfront, because that controls their vesting. And I need to make sure that that is done correctly to, again, not create any title issues that could become an issue later on.
Awesome. That's really, really good information. That's actually something I didn't think about, that I feel like if I just have an idea, I can just bring it to you and you look, it's me, and I'm not going to have an issue. I'm buying the property. All my information's already on there. You have everything of mine. I don't need anything else. That's really important to know. So I really, really like that. Now, that's pretty much it for today. I didn't want to keep you guys too long. I wanted to be as thorough as possible, but efficient. So I'm going to leave this time open for any questions that you guys might have. If there's anything that we didn't cover that you guys want to go over, or anything that you want to have, cleared up, this is the time for questions. And I want to thank you so much, Katerina, for joining us tonight. You were amazing. I think it's really important, because something, again, people don't really think about is title. they think about the mortgage broker, they think about the realtor, but this is a really, really important component to closing. And one of the things that I'm always on top of is being in contact with title companies, making sure that everything is met on time the way we're supposed to. Something that I really, really, I take care of, I take it very seriously, and I'm pretty thorough on it. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I love spending my Monday with you.
Thank you so much. And so, guys, also my information is on here. If you guys want to reach me, here's my phone number, my email, my website as well. If you guys want to search for properties, and you have my social media, so my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram. And if you always click on the little link on the bottom, it can also direct you to there, pretty easily. And then if you guys have any questions about title, you could reach out to Katerina directly. She can put her information in the chat for you. And if not, you could always reach out to me and we can connect you to Katerina. As you know, realtors come as package deals, whether it's with a mortgage broker, with a title company, we always have like a whole family behind us. So it's really important for all of us to kind of stick together. So let's see if we have anything in the chat. So we have a question. Why would someone hire an attorney? This is actually a really good question. Why would somebody hire an attorney to represent them when a title company is involved?
So they always have the option to hire an attorney, and they're just going to be a second set of eyes during the process. Also, a lot of people have a family attorney that they've been dealing with, especially if they've done a trust, if they've prepared any sort of, family estate, and maybe his specialty is not in real estate, so he doesn't feel comfortable to do the closing, but he just wants to kind of, stay on top of the transaction and make sure that everything's kosher. They always have the option to have an extra set of eyes. Of course, that's going to cost them an additional cost, which they, will take care of between them and their attorney. But it is always an option for them. And for most times when I've seen it happen, it's usually somebody like a family friend or a close friend where they just want to have an extra set of eyes, especially I call them my PTSD clients, the ones that haven't had a great experience with other title companies. It's the first time they work with me, so they don't know how fabulous I am yet. And so, they are a little bit, scared. And then I, kind of come in and I always let them feel comfortable if they need to have somebody else, assisting us throughout the process. We believe in communication, number one. And so I've actually gotten business from attorneys stepping in to kind of review everything because they love the way we work. They love how transparent we are during the process. So, it's always an option for them.
Yeah, I think it's important. I know a lot of clients that are like, oh, I have my own attorney. I don't need a title company. I have this taken care of. And so I think that there is an additional cost, and they don't really put that into consideration. But they always think that they need an attorney, that it's necessary to have them there when they're doing a closing. And I think with a title company, and I've never had an issue with you or with any other title company that I've worked with on a closing. So it's a very seamless process, I think, with title companies.
Yeah. And remember, if they need any sort of assistance with legal matters or litigation, then their attorney could come into play. We also have referrals for all of that as well. We have a very large team of people that we do business with because I truly believe that your network is your net worth, and you really need to go out and network and make partnerships with others. So we have partnerships with a whole lot of people in the industry that we can help our clients really navigate through anything.
Got it. We have another question, and I think we answered this earlier, but I want to confirm. Do you guys have an in-house attorney as well?
Yes, so we have an attorney who will help us with all of the probate transactions. That's really her bread and butter. She's amazing. And she also assists with seller side transactions. So if they need her contact information, they can reach out to me and I'll put everyone in contact.
Got it. Now, does every title company, Kat, have an in-house attorney? Does that matter?
No, they don't. In the state of South Florida, you do not need to have an attorney to have a title insurance agency. You have the option, and there are a lot that are attorney owned. So it really just depends on the type of agency.
Got it. Okay, cool. Awesome. That's good to know. All right. I want to see if anybody else has any more questions. Anything that we didn't cover, anything we didn't go over. Kat's information is right there in the chat, her phone number, her email. And again, you guys can reach out to me if you need it as well. I'm just going to give it another few seconds. All right, I think we're good for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I really appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. Thank you so much, Kat, for being here, for giving us all that great information. It's a real pleasure for me to have you and to
I
have
did
you as a
ask 2 questions. You don't see them in the chat.
Oh, forgive me. I did not see in the chat. I cannot see.
It said
Yep.
direct message to Elite Rock Stars, but I can ask my question
Sure, of course.
if you don't mind.
No, absolutely, of course.
Okay, I want to know how we can protect our clients from investor flippers. Like when they buy a house, they flip it, sell it in a couple of months, and then possibly there's a lien that gets put on in between the closing and the, the title, issuance of the title. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
How do we
So-
protect our clients from that?
So it's okay. So are you talking about the seller or the buyer in this scenario?
The buyer. How do we
So-
protect the buyer?
So in order to protect the buyer, the gap for them protects that. So there's
Yeah.
a gap in the title process that will protect them. And we just need to make sure, again, from the onset, so once that buyer is purchasing the property, we need to make sure that the full title search and lien search are done as quickly as possible so that we're able to kind of tackle anything that's going on in that moment. Also, a lot of times you can ask them up front. Most of them should have a copy. If they, let's say they're buying it in the core or however it is they absorb these off-market properties or whatever it is that they're doing, most of the times you can ask them if they purchased it with a policy and ask for a copy of that policy as well. If they didn't, then the gap will protect them from anything that from when they purchased to now that's not recorded.
Good to know. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kat. All right, does anybody else have any other questions?
Which, by the way, a good tip is when in doubt, always ask for a copy of the policy once you guys are already under contract. We always do as well, just because that is already giving us like an extra step and getting us a little bit more ahead of the game in regards to what we can anticipate in title. So it's important to ask.
Is the gap optional or is it something that's actually just covered in the policy? If
So
you
it's
know.
covered. I believe it is covered in the policy.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. That's a good question, Judy. Thank you so much for that. All righty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Kat. Again, you guys have all of our information if you want to reach out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful evening. Take care,
Happy
guys.
Halloween, everyone. Bye.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Take care.
Happy Halloween.